My husband's funeral took a shocking turn when his mistress walked in holding a child. She handed me a letter and said, "This is what he wanted you to have." Inside the letter was a confession that revealed he'd been living a double life for over a decade. I stood near the casket, my hands gripping the folded funeral program so tightly that the paper was starting to crumple. The air inside the church felt thick, pressing down on my chest as people came up to me one by one, offering condolences. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I registered the quiet organ music, the soft murmurs of distant relatives, the hushed sobs of close friends. But it all felt far away, like I was standing behind glass, watching my own life play out as a stranger. And then, the doors creaked open. A woman walked in, holding a small child by the hand. She was young, maybe late 20s, with deep brown eyes and a hesitant expression. The little boy beside her clutched a toy car in one hand, his other hand wrapped securely in hers. He couldn't have been older than 5. The room went silent. People turned, their eyes bouncing between the woman, the child, and me. A strange weight settled in my stomach, the kind that tells you something is about to change forever. She didn't go to the casket. She didn't stop at the back. Instead, she walked straight to me. I didn't recognize her. I should have. But I didn't. When she reached me, she took a deep breath and, in a voice just loud enough for those nearby to hear, she said, "I'm so sorry. But he wanted you to have this." Then, she handed me a letter. The envelope was old, the edges slightly worn. My name was written in his handwriting, clear, precise, unmistakable. My fingers trembled as I took it. For a long moment, I couldn't move. I could feel every eye in the room on me, waiting, wondering. The child shifted beside her, his tiny fingers still gripping her hand. And then, it hit me. The boy. His eyes, deep brown, just like hers. But his face was familiar. Too familiar. The realization was slow, creeping up my spine like ice water. I knew those eyes. I had seen them every morning for over 20 years. I turned back to the letter, my breath uneven. My heart pounded so hard in my chest that I thought I might be sick. I looked at her again, forcing myself to speak, though my voice came out barely above a whisper. "Who are you?" She hesitated. "My name is Rachel," she said, glancing down at the boy. "This is Daniel. He's his son." For a moment, the words didn't register. And then, the floor beneath me seemed to shift. A strange ringing filled my ears. I forced myself to swallow, to breathe, to stay standing when every part of me wanted to collapse. I had spent the last few days drowning in grief, in loss, in pain. But suddenly, I was drowning in something else entirely. My husband. The man I had loved, trusted, built a life with, had another son. A child I had never known about. A child he had with another woman. I heard a gasp somewhere in the crowd. A chair scraped against the floor. Someone whispered, "Oh my," before catching themselves. I couldn't take my eyes off her. Or the boy. My husband had been gone for only a week. And now, I was standing here, staring at a truth so sharp it felt like it was cutting me open from the inside out. I looked down at the letter in my hands, my vision blurring. I had a choice. I could open it right here, in front of everyone. Or I could wait. But in that moment, waiting wasn't an option. With fingers that barely worked, I slid my nail under the flap and tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded carefully. And then, I saw his handwriting. His last words to me. My chest ached as I started to read. And with every sentence, my world cracked a little more. My hands trembled as I unfolded the letter, my heart pounding so hard it drowned out the whispers in the room. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, but I couldn't look up. I could only focus on the words he had left behind. "My love, if you're reading this, I am gone. And I know what you must be feeling right now. Shock. Anger. Betrayal. You have every right to feel those things. I won't ask for your forgiveness. I only ask that you hear me out. There is something I never told you. Something I kept buried for years. Rachel and Daniel, they are a part of my life that I never had the courage to tell you about. But they were never meant to take away from you. From us. Please, don't turn away just yet. I need you to understand why." I swallowed hard, my breath uneven. The room had gone eerily quiet, as if the entire world had stopped moving, waiting for what came next. It started over a decade ago. The words blurred for a moment, my mind racing. A decade? My knees felt weak. My marriage, my entire life, he had been living a double life for 10 years. I forced myself to keep reading. It was never supposed to happen. I made a mistake, one I never could undo. But I swear to you, I never stopped loving you. A mistake. That's what he called it. 10 years. A whole other family. A child. And he called it a mistake. I blinked away the sting behind my eyes and kept reading. Rachel never asked for anything. She never tried to ruin our life. She never demanded I leave you. But I couldn't turn away from Daniel. He's my son. My blood. And no matter how much I wanted to keep my world separate, I couldn't pretend he didn't exist. I clenched my jaw, my grip on the paper so tight it started to crinkle. He had spent years lying to me, to our family, to everyone. And yet, he had still found a way to be a father to that boy. I was afraid to tell you. I was afraid you'd leave. And in the end, I took the coward's way out. I kept it from you. I told myself it was for the best. But I know now that the truth always finds a way to come out. I closed my eyes for a moment, the weight of it crushing me. By the time you read this, I won't be able to ask you to understand. But I can ask you one thing, please, don't blame Daniel. He didn't ask for this. He's just a child. He deserves better than the mess I created. I exhaled sharply. My hands shook. My whole body shook. I could feel the silence in the room pressing in on me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to rip the letter apart, to throw it across the room, to do something, anything, to release the storm building inside me. But instead, I slowly folded the letter back up. And then, for the first time, I looked at the boy. Daniel. His eyes met mine, uncertain, wide, scared. He had no idea what was happening. He had no idea that his very existence had just shattered the world I thought I knew. And yet, he was innocent in all of this. Just like me. Just like Rachel. I turned back to her. She was watching me carefully, her face unreadable. I could feel the weight of everyone's expectations in the room. They were waiting to see what I would do, how I would react. I wanted to ask her so many things. How long had she known about me? Did she love him? Did she know he was lying to both of us? Did she ever wish he would leave me? But none of those questions would change anything now. My husband was gone. And yet, his choices were still destroying me, even from the grave. I took a slow breath and finally spoke, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Why now? Rachel hesitated, then finally answered. Because he asked me to. Before he passed, he told me to give you the letter. He said you deserved the truth. The truth. After all these years, after all the lies, after all the deception, he had the audacity to decide that now, I deserved the truth. A bitter laugh bubbled up in my throat, but I swallowed it down. I turned back to the casket. My husband lay there, silent, unable to face the damage he had done. I had spent years loving a man I never truly knew. And now, I had to figure out how to live with that. And with the consequences he left behind. For days after the funeral, I felt like I was living in someone else's life. The house was too quiet, but my mind was too loud. Everywhere I looked, I saw memories of the man I thought I knew. And now, I couldn't trust a single one of them. The betrayal sat inside me like a weight I couldn't shake. My husband, no, my late husband, had lived a double life for over a decade. And now, he had left me to pick up the pieces. But the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. He had controlled the truth. He had controlled my life. Even after his death, he had tried to control how I handled it. He thought that by writing me that letter, by asking for my understanding, I would just accept it. I would not accept it. I had given him everything, my time, my love, my loyalty. And what had he given me? Lies. Years of them. He had taken away my choices when he was alive. But now, it was my turn to make the decisions. And I would make sure he felt the consequences of his choices, even from the grave. A week after the funeral, I met with our lawyer. I sat in his office, surrounded by dark wooden shelves filled with books that smelled like dust and old paper. He sighed as he slid the documents across the desk. I know this is difficult, but you need to see this. I picked up the papers, bracing myself. And there it was, the final insult. My husband had set aside money for Rachel and her son. A lot of money. He had a separate account, hidden away, untouched by our shared finances. Enough to take care of them for years. And yet, he had never once thought to be honest with me. I clenched my jaw, but I forced myself to stay calm. Can I make changes to this? I asked, keeping my voice steady. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. You are the executor of the estate. You have power over all financial decisions. That was all I needed to hear. For years, I had handled the household finances. I knew every account, every asset, every investment. But what he didn't know, what he had never cared to ask, was that I had built my own security on the side. He thought he was in control. Wrong. He had given Rachel and Daniel money. Fine. But he never specified how they would get it. I went through the accounts with a sharp eye. Anything that could be delayed, I delayed. Anything that could be contested, I contested. Anything that I could legally move elsewhere, I did. Rachel would get the money. Eventually. But not before she understood the pain of waiting, of wondering, of being at someone else's mercy. Just like I had been. She hadn't taken my husband from me, but she had helped him keep his secret. She didn't deserve an easy way out. And as for my husband's personal savings, the ones meant for Daniel's future, I redirected them. Instead of sitting in an untouched account, growing quietly, I made sure that every last cent was donated to a cause my husband would have hated. He had always been selfish with his money. Always reluctant to give to charities or people in need. He wanted to control where every penny went. Well, not anymore. I set up a scholarship fund in my name, one that would help single mothers go back to school, one that would support children without deceitful fathers. I made sure his money went exactly where it would have infuriated him the most. And when the lawyer asked me, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I smiled for the first time in weeks. Absolutely. The house we had shared for years, the one he had promised was ours forever, was mine alone now. And I wanted it gone. I listed it for sale within a month of his passing. People whispered, asking how I could sell it so quickly. Didn't I need time to grieve? I had grieved enough. And then, I did something that made people really talk. When the house sold, I bought a new one. A smaller one, but nicer. Closer to the city, closer to my friends, closer to a new life. But here's the real kicker, when I sold the house, I made sure that Rachel could never have it. I had found out that she had been hoping to move in, thinking I would be too heartbroken to keep it. That maybe I would give it up, and somehow, she and her son would be able to step into the life my husband left behind. Not a chance. She didn't get the house. She didn't get an easy payday. She got exactly what I wanted her to have, nothing from me. With every decision, I felt lighter. The weight of his lies no longer held me down. I didn't just survive his betrayal. I made sure I thrived because of it. And the best part? Every time someone spoke his name, they didn't talk about what a great man he was. They talked about me, the wife who outsmarted him, the woman who didn't let his lies define her. Rachel stopped trying to contact me after a while. Maybe she realized that no amount of letters or apologies would change the damage he had done. Or maybe she finally understood, she and I were never on the same side. Daniel was just a child, and I had no anger toward him. But my husband had taken everything I had built, everything I had trusted, and thrown it away for a life of secrets. And in the end, I took it all back. Every last piece.